And we are live. Hello, everyone. It is day. Oh, it's not day 69. Yesterday was the nice day. Today is a little bit less nice day, but still a very nice day, I would say, because we have great content for you guys today. And I didn't mean to rhyme so much, but sometimes you just come out like a rapper, swinging and missing and all hitting. What is this even? Like, it's been 30 seconds of silence so far and rambling, so let's get to it. This is day 70 of 100 days of code. Today we're going to look at some exciting React stuff, but before we can do that, we need to introduce someone, and this man, the myth, the legend, is Leon Andersen. How are you doing?
Hello world, doing great. Had a great day. Pretty much in the flow all day. Few hours of type training, and then the rest of the day React, learning React. Basically, I went through about 2 sections, and this time also coding along and trying out stuff on my own again. And I have to say, it feels great to be coding myself again, to write some lines myself. And I definitely feel the improvements of my type training. And I also found out that I can use Vim key bindings here in Code Sandbox, which is pretty cool. So I could also put my learned new skills from playing Vim Adventures in the past week to the test, and was a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to getting really into the flow with typing, and I feel like on one side, on this side, things are coming together slowly but surely. But also, React so far was just immense amounts of fun. Also working in Code Sandbox because it's direct feedback. Sure, it has a few bugs sometimes where you just have to restart it, where it's for example, it says that there's a closing tag missing, even though there is one, stuff like that. But most of the experience is pretty awesome working with Code Sandbox. And what did I learn today? What did I do? I mean, I also have to, or I guess part of today is also recapping what I learned yesterday, because yesterday we just did an announcement. Yesterday was section 60. So, I see that you're not having any numbers with it, but introducing React was should be. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Basically, I think that's the wrong section, right? Introducing React was the first one yesterday. So introduction of React. We have the structuring. Basically, what React is made up of, or what the special thing, or the basic special concept about it is that we have components, and that they are structured hierarchically, and that you can use JavaScript and HTML syntax mixed with each other to describe it roughly. There are a few things that are unique to React in terms of syntax, but most things are is already known from JavaScript and HTML, and as far as I understand it, also CSS. That's like interactive CSS or dynamic CSS is coming in the next section. I've already seen that, but I'm not sure if that's actually part of React, or if we will see. But so the cool thing is, I already talked about Code Sandbox, but that I'm using that, but I didn't actually explain what it is. It's a basically a web service that sets up all the dependencies that you need to start a React project. There are ways to do it locally as well, but this is a great start because you also have direct feedback on the right side. And the cool, or then we also talked about JSX, which is the syntax, or the syntax library behind, or that's a big part of React, that basically transforms your HTML into JavaScript in the back end or behind the scenes. So behind the scenes, everything becomes JavaScript again. Also with the help of Babel, which is let's say transcription from language to language package. And we see the structure. I already mentioned it, the structure of how components are structured. The biggest structure is the app structure, and we have that in our app.js file. And this gets rooted in the index file, which is in the it's there, root.render app. As we can see there, we see in line 11, we see the app component. Components are written, as you can see, similar to HTML, but not exactly, because they have the closing tag inside before the closing greater than, or greater than sign, a symbol, and instead of having it at the beginning, like in line 12. And basically, components like this are then from the highest order of app just nested all the way down inside of each other. So we can see here the app component returns, and then all kinds of other components, like the double dice game component, list picker component, greeter component, login form component, and these are all basically, you create them in separate files and then import them, as we can see above. For example, all these imports, and you could name them differently here. Like you could write, for example, import Jerry from double dice game, but then of course you would have to change all the other component names there as well. But of course it makes sense to call them Michelle instead, because Michelle is way more representative. Just kidding. Of course, the name that we already set in the in the path name, basically, or in the file name, to make it all very easy to read and understand. And yeah, we can basically nest component and component and component, and components can be made up of HTML elements, but also JavaScript functions, arrays, all sorts of stuff. Yeah, I think that's the first the first section. And now to come to the second section, JSX in detail. Yeah, the importing and exporting of components. I mean, I touched on it already. I think, is there anything important that I missed? Let me check. I think there was, what was it? There was something about the closing tag. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe do you have an idea what could be what could have been part of it?
I think the one thing worth pointing out is that you can either export them as default, right? And then you have that what we had earlier where you can rename them when importing them, or you export them named, which you can either do at the bottom of the file, or you can do it in front of the function like this. These two things are equivalent. And you can then notice here when we use them in the app component. Wait, what? Why have so much stuff open here? It's just this, and that's here going to the app. Dog is imported with curly brackets here, whereas all of the others that are default exports are imported like this. And the default exports are just renameable, just like we did earlier. If you want to rename a component that is a named export, and again, named export is just what you call this exporting, because you give it a specific name when exporting. When you want to rename that in the file that you imported, you can use the as keyword. So we could also import dog as Jerry, and now the app crashes and we need to put in here Jerry again. And let me reload this. I think my code sandbox is dead. So let's reload everything here. Code sandbox sometimes can, get really overwhelmed with stuff. It's definitely good for prototyping and teaching, but I would never do it in production. It's definitely just for prototyping. But as you can see here, the Jerry component, the dog component, I don't even know what it's rendering. It's rendering a pet that says roof. So let's find our pet here. For Italy, certain observers here. Gerd GPT says roof. This is our Jerry right now because we renamed it. I think that's the only thing that you should point out. But other than that, it's great. Let's move to the next lesson.
Yeah, I absolutely. I forgot about the dog and curly brackets because it's so many things today. But yeah, obviously, and also what we can do with these curly brackets is that we can export multiple components from one file. But as far as I understand it, it's not that useful because it's easier to, because the convention makes sense to keep everything split up in separate files. Maybe if the components are very similar, like you just described with dog and other dog, maybe if they have very similar qualities, but I don't know. Maybe, yeah. What would you say? Where does it make sense, or does it even make sense to export multiple?
Definitely, yeah. There are use cases where that makes a lot of sense. So, for example, I think one of the things that you said, where you said if stuff is similar, that is definitely a use case. And one of the use cases where you will see it a lot is, for example, with cards. So in the real world, you will see something that is a card component, which is just a specific thing that patches a specific look. And usually these cards have a header and the footer and the body. And then usually the card component file exports the outer card, the card header, the card body, and the card footer all from one file. And the second thing I would say to this is also when in Rome, do as the Romans do, which just means that some teams just have this convention to maybe even export all of the components from one giant index.js file or something. So definitely just do it where you're in team, just keep moving with the team. And when you're alone, you can just do whatever you like best and what makes sense for you the most.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so yeah, what was the next thing? The rules of JSX, I don't. Oh yeah, stuff like the divs. We need to always have, like, if we want to have multiple sub elements of one inside of one component. I mean, I think, for example, if you go to Double Dice game, to the file, we can see that we have like all these paragraphs and these H3s down there, and in order to make all of them into one component, we have to wrap them inside of opening and closing tags. And if we can either use, for example, divs, but sometimes you don't want to have divs all over the place for everything. In some cases, you can also use basically just empty opening and closing tags to wrap all into one component. Stuff with with a fragment. So I guess they're called fragments. What was that just about that they are called fragments, or is there any other special thing that you pointed to?
So yeah, this was just a piece of React history, a little sneak peek. So in the very beginning, React always forced you to use a tag if you wanted to have multiple children. So you needed to have a div, right? And that caused people to have lots of divs that they might not want, or spans or something else. And then React came up with the fragment tag, which was the one that I just imported. And then after the fragment tag, there's also this basically shorthand notation. So these are also called fragments. And the only difference between this fragment and the fragment that I just imported is that in the imported fragment, you can set something that is called a key. I don't know if you have covered React keys yet. If not, let's just make a mental note. And then we're going to look at this again when you come to the specific meaning of keys in React.
Got it. So are keys the same as props?
So key is a special prop. You can never pass a React component a prop called key, but keys are set as if they are a prop, and they help React keep track of where your components are. And there are specific use cases for that. But yeah, I don't know if code covers this, but we're going to cover that definitely in the future at some point if you haven't covered it yet.
Okay, cool. Yeah, looking forward. So yeah, we were in basically rules of JSX, stuff like that you always have to use divs or forms, or yeah, whatever kind of closing tags, opening and closing tags that you can wrap multiple elements inside. Not 100% sure if there's anything more than that with those rules. It's quite hard to. I mean, let me check. Maybe the CSS. The how it works together with CSS. I'm not sure if that was part of this, but maybe let's just go into it. So if we want to style our components, we can basically give them a class name, which is basically the same as class, but we have to call it class name so it doesn't get confused with regular CSS or HTTP, HTML, and we have to import basically the CSS. I only did it with one file because, like, you can see the die CSS file. Yeah, we have a style CSS that's for the whole app, but for every component that we have special styling for, we're supposed to. I mean, code said we are free to do whatever we want, but he says it's convention to split it up like I did with the die CSS. So in order for the styling to work on the die component, which you can see we linked it in line 6 with class name die. In order to activate it or to be able to use it, we have to import it. And I tried it out. I tried importing the die CSS in all kinds of different files, and it worked all the time. So as far as I understand it, there's like a some part of the program. I think it was called like web package or web stack or something like that. It's part of React. Scans through all the files and sees which kind of style sheets have to be imported and then used, and they're linked by the name of by the class name anyway. So what I did for the rest of the components was to use just the styles CSS, so I don't have to write import all the time. If you go into the styles.css file, you can see that I have for the other components, I have done some styling there as well, and I also tried like the image in line styling in line 18 is basically then probably for all it is for all images. So I like to to just save it this way to remind myself that there are different options of how to write it. And yeah, let me check if there's anything else about the CSS. Well, if we want to have if we want to style a subcomponent or a sub element of the component, as you can see, like we can have a class name and then the subcomponent and then individual styling. And yeah, I think that's it for the CSS thing. I guess that was it for the rules of JSX. And yeah, React fragments, we already went through those. Then evaluating JavaScript expressions. I guess that was just about the curly brackets. Not seeing anything on the screen. Yes, exactly. So so basically, I would say similar to embedded JavaScript to EJS, but in a way nicer syntax. We can use JavaScript variables and there's something blocking the code. Yeah, something called props, which I go into in a moment as well, which I guess is I would say an argument more than a I guess a variable and an argument at the same time, and how we can use those JavaScript elements inside of HTML. So inside of the H2, we can see that there's num sides inside of curly brackets. Like that's the main syntax for all of it, to use curly brackets, which basically takes in the argument that goes into the die component, which we can which is called a prop. Let's just go into props directly. If we go to the app.js, we can see that the die component down there, we have a nums. We also include a num size equals 15, also in curly brackets, which basically just shows, or where we can set how many sides the dices should have. And yeah, this, I don't know, I would say it's pretty self-explanatory from this point. There are some quirks, like for example, which one was it? The Pokemon, the random Pokemon thing. We have the like image source curly brackets URL. At first, I tried to put the curly brackets inside of the usual quotes, and it didn't work. So I was wondering, like, I guess that's just a syntax. Quotes curly brackets URL. Exactly, and that didn't work. So I have no idea why, but I guess it probably spits out a string anyway, and then because of that we don't need quotes. I don't know.
So quotes, as you can see, so in these components right here, you can say that there's two ways to pass in props. The usual way, which is we can pass in any value in curly brackets, and strings have a specific, they're kind of like the favorite child of React. React gives them a little bit of a special treatment. Basically, strings can be passed in quotes without the curly brackets. You can add curly brackets like this. It doesn't change anything. So when we see, I think the greeter here, non-programming character, yeah, we're here. And this greeter, so whether we pass in the curly brackets or not, doesn't make a difference. So let's look at what happens with the random Pokemon. So when we put these quotes here, this is the equivalent of this. These two things are the same. So right now, the source is not the URL. And you can also see the URL here is a little bit grayed out because it's not used. Right now, the source is just the string curly bracket open, URL, curly bracket closed. So it does not get evaluated, right? And that is the key understanding of evaluating JavaScript expressions, right? Evaluating, because when you put stuff in here, in the curly brackets, then it gets evaluated, meaning that now actually this string gets passed in here. The only thing is that all of the variables, right, when you evaluate them, they just return themselves. So when we go into the console, and when we say in the console, for example, let's do it. We just put URL in curly brackets. What we get back is the string URL in curly brackets, right? When we put 15, we get back 15. But usually, like, it's a little bit unintuitive at first for people to understand that every single variable is also just an expression of the exact thing that is in the variable. It doesn't matter if we just put in 15 or if we say const my value equals to 15, and then we say my value, node's blowing up. I don't know if I mistyped. My value is not defined. I don't know. Oh, why it's not more? I didn't maybe. I don't know. There's something wrong here, but the key thing is it immediately returns it. And what makes this a little bit more understandable is we can also put the expressions in here that you've already learned. So I think you already learned the and operator. So true and URL just returns URL. So you can put into these curly brackets literal JavaScript, and it gets evaluated. You can even put in, like you could make it super complicated just for the sake of it. You could say, hey, function, give me my URL, and it returns the URL variable from above. And now we put all of this in round brackets, and we immediately execute it. And let's see, still we're getting the random Pokemon, right? Because we're defining a function and then we're immediately calling it. So we're immediately returning this random URL. That also works because the key understanding here is whatever goes into these curly brackets can be an expression.
Okay, so so in line 3, if you scroll to the right, so we can see the end of the thing, we have the usual curly brackets with the dollar sign before in the string template literal. Would you say that the curly brackets from the string template literal are the same as the curly brackets in or have serve the same purpose as curly brackets in React, or are they different?
Well, let's be just a little bit pain in the ass pedantic. So they're not the same, right? The exact same, but they're very, very, very similar to the point that you could say for most cases they are the same. But technically they are a little bit different, just because they have a different syntax, right? One of the two is, well, just in the context of React components, template literals can also be used as functions. You haven't seen that yet. But we might come across that at some point. So there are subtle differences, but just for like your mental model in terms of expression evaluation, yeah, you can think of them as just about the same.
Okay, got it. So yeah, I had a little struggle with how I nested the like at what point I'm using the curly brackets and where I use this the backticks and stuff, but I mean I figured it out, but yeah, I mean maybe I'll just explain this this component here a little bit, even though it was the last part of this section. Maybe styling components. I guess styling components was the CSS part. I don't know. Or is styling components something else? Yeah, I think not. So yeah, why not just explain the random poker card exercise? That was finally a real coding exercise again in the course, after like 30 sections. Finally some coding exercise again, and basically what we did is yeah, getting a random number from 1 to 151, just as many Pokemon there are, and then we put that random Poke number inside of the URL, which is basically a collection of an API that has the images of the first 151 okay. For some reason, it seems like there are more than 151. But yeah, that's what code said. I should do that, and so I just followed the orders, like a clone from Star Wars. Anyway, so then yeah, I put the random Poke number inside of the URL and then rendered it in the image. So basically, that's JavaScript inside of JavaScript inside of HTML. And yeah, and then the rest was styling, I guess. Yeah, the rest was styling. We can see that in the styles sheet. Solid border and the color and the width of the image, and yeah, like this is a good example of how JavaScript, CSS, and HTML can interact with each other in React. And what was there? Component decomposition. What was that again? Let me check real quick. Oh yeah, basically putting one component into other components, so we can like the dice hand is using the die component multiple times, and yeah, that's I would say, as far as I remember it, where you just nest components within components. I guess that's component decomposition. Just checking if there's anything else to it. No, I guess not. Okay, well, next thing is, I would say, in the next section, local React apps with Vite. Doesn't matter. It's just set up for a local code sandbox functionality, but without the instant visualization. Yeah, props, we already touched a little bit on them, but let's get into them a little bit more because they are quite interesting. As we can see in line 18, we can put in values that then get used in the list picker component as an argument, and this then can be used inside of the JavaScript and HTML that's inside of the component. And so this way we can use basically the same component multiple times with different kinds of props, with different kinds of values. And then we can do that with arrays as well as just with variables. And then I guess the last thing today is React conditionals. Where do we have it? I guess it's in the double dice game. If you scroll up a little bit in the view, in the yeah, exactly, you can see that where we have the winner, where we have a winner, where num1 and num2 is the same. I have 3 times winner, simply a winner, because I just wanted to showcase the different kinds of how you can implement this logic. So first one is h3 in line 10, where we put a variable result inside, with the, I'm not sure about the exact name, terminary operator, something like that, in line 4, which is basically a shorthand notation of an if statement, and yeah, you can basically use the put it inside of the curly brackets as a variable, or or as you can see with the anti-winner as well, just directly inside of the curly brackets inside of the HTML element. And then but what we can also do is, what I found very interesting, was in line 11 and 12, where we basically put the curly brackets right into the component, into the base layer of the component, basically, with the fragments, or at the layer directly below the fragments, and inside of the curly brackets we can trigger HTML to be displayed. So if num equals num1 and 2 are the same, then the HTML winner gets displayed. Otherwise, nothing, or an empty. I think it was an empty H3. I don't know. I don't remember exactly, but I know. I think it was. Wait. I think with null, then nothing gets displayed. Not even an empty H3. How deep does this go? What do you mean? What do you mean by how deep does this go?
Oh, okay. So I thought that you were still thinking, figuring it out. So I just wanted to show you that you can nest within nest, right? We have the first curly bracket open here. We have the next one here. We could keep going in here, right? There's like we have that's what I meant with how deep can this go? Like we can nest even deeper and even deeper, even deeper. It's not good. It makes the code hard to read and confusing, and you shouldn't do it. Just wanted to show you that if you wanted to, you can.
Got it. Yeah, so basically, then line 12 is just a shorthand notation of the same as line 11, because after the two ampersands, what's after that only gets displayed if what's before that is true as well. So yeah, and in yeah, this is basically the same as with two pipes, but in a negated first statement. Yeah, because there the second argument only gets shown if the first one is no. Wait. Yeah, if the first one is wrong, yeah, or falsy, I guess. Yeah, I think that's it. Oh yeah, we can set default prop values by, yeah, basically just very similar as we can do it in regular JavaScript, but inside of the curly brackets, inside of the round brackets, basically. And yeah, I think.
So one thing worth pointing out here, I don't know if you noticed this, right? But what is this called?
Uh, called. It's destructuring, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like I'm so used to destructuring by now that I don't even think about it anymore. No, for real. Like I noticed it definitely when we went through it, and then I was like, oh yeah, sure, makes sense, and didn't further think about it. Yeah, mm, non-string props is another last thing, I guess, but I'm not sure. Oh yeah, if we want to put in a number, then as we already saw with the number sides, then we can input them as a string in quotes, because then we won't be able to use it as a number. And that's it for today.
Great. I think lots of ground covered. It's super exciting that you're now doing React. Yeah, I can already see the bright future ahead. I hope this is as much fun. Like, I'm super passionate about React, so I'm super happy for you that you finally get to see this. Yeah, any last parting words?
No, I guess just really, really excited for the next for everything that's coming, and everything I've done today, and I'm really, really filled with the bliss of the flow of the day.
Nice, yeah. Sometimes it's worth pinching yourself and being like, wait, there are people that pay me for this. Yeah, there are people that pay for doing this, and they pay very well, have like very good salaries, to very nice conditions, lots of vacation, can work from wherever you want. So if you are also coding along since 70 days, I would be super happy to see where you are, even if you're not coding for 70 days. If you're coding for less time, would also be super fun to know. If you're watching the recording, join us live. It's always fun. And this has been day 70 of 100 Days of Code with
Leon Andersen and my mentor.
Adef Nil, aka I think we had a nickname here somewhere. Uh, a programming character, I guess. Yeah, always be mounting. See you tomorrow.
Until tomorrow, folks. See you.